I'm Valerie Bentson. I am here today. I'm going to talk to my amazing friend, Ian Carney. He is an Irish mystic, healer, psychotherapist, DJ, and all around very fun and funny and interesting person. So I'm very excited to have him on the call. Just figuring out how to get him on here. Let's see. Yeah, so I'm just waiting on Ian. Let's see if we can figure this out. So I met Ian about 12 years ago in Argentina when I was living there, and we were both on our travels. So there's Ian. Let's see, how do you request to join? Request to join? Go live. There we go. And Ian gave me this amazing drum. A lot of healers and shamans go to buy all sorts of medicine and beautiful instruments and everything. So I was just sharing this drum that you got me. Can you hear me?
Yay.
Hi.
I'm trying to figure out the connection. Hold on. 1 second. Let me check something. Hold on.
Okay. So right now Ian is in Sayulita, Mexico.
Sayulita, Mexico, on the Pacific coast.
Lovely. And how long have you been there?
God, it feels like a long time. Maybe a month?
Okay. And
Uh-huh.
so you've been in Mexico about a little over a month, like a month and a half or so, right? But you were living, okay, well, first of
I've
all,
been in Mexico. No, I've been in Mexico. Hold on. Pause. I need to check. Can I fix the Wi-Fi so the connection's a little bit better because it's a bit
yeah,
blotchy, or whatever you call it.
yeah.
Patchy? Blotchy?
So I'll give some background. Ian, yeah, I was saying me and Ian met in Argentina about 12 or 13 years ago. And henceforth, Ian moved to Mexico.
Pause. Pause. I need to change it from data to Wi-Fi because it's breaking up, I think. I can't
Okay.
really hear you. So I don't know what to do there. Do I just get out of this room and then do it again?
Can't you just adjust that on your phone?
Probably, but you know me, so give me a second.
Like if you go to the top of your phone, it shows you the Wi-Fi option. Guys, we're having some technical difficulties. It's always the case with these IGTVs. My goodness. Okay, so I'll just keep talking about Ian, because that's why we're here, right? So Ian, yeah, we met in Argentina, and hi, Nicola and Kelly, and he moved to Mexico a bit after that, and he was living in Mexico for about 6 years, and we reconnected in Mexico City about a year and a half ago, and so he was practicing. He had a practice, psychotherapy, in Mexico City, and was also doing DJing sets in Mexico City and around Mexico. Okay, he's coming back. Hi. You good?
I don't know why now. It doesn't seem to work. It's connecting
Okay, but you can hear me, and
because
yeah,
it's
you
all
can.
paused and shit.
Can you hear me?
No, the
You can't hear
connection's
me.
terrible.
Okay, maybe Ian, can you not hear me at all when I'm speaking?
I can hear you now, Valerie.
Okay, I can see you, and you're looking fine. So let's continue.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So let's get into it.
Hi, Val.
Hi. So Ian, where are you from? Where are you from? What's your background? What's your upbringing?
I'm Irish.
Okay, by the way, Swellen is in the call, and she knows Swellen,
Hey,
Brazilian.
Swellen. Wow, Swellen. Wow. When did we meet? Like 14 years ago? 15 years ago? I don't know. A long time ago. 20
Yeah,
years ago?
basically.
Whenever it was. Um, I was born in Washington, D.C. and my parents were over there. They're Irish. And then when I was 4 or 5, went back to Ireland. But I consider myself Irish. And now I'm in Latin America for the last many years, 12 years, 13 years, I think. Uh-huh.
Okay, and so you grew up in Ireland until your something 20s, your mid 20s.
To my 20s, like I was like, I guess when I hit 20, I started traveling again and just started moving around. And I was back in Ireland a bit in my 20s, and then I came over to Mexico when I was like 30, something like that, I think.
Okay. Yeah,
Something like that.
2008. That's when we met in Argentina, Sweden. And then okay, so from
Okay.
Argentina, you went to Mexico, and then you ended up living in Mexico for how long?
I mean, I went all over the place. So I didn't really go from Argentina to Mexico. I was in all over the place in South America. And then I was back in Ireland, and then I ended up in Mexico. I got married to a Mexican. And then I started living here, and I was over in Ireland last year, and then I decided to come here, back to Mexico. hmm
Okay.
I'm a traveler,
So,
Val. I'm a
huh?
traveler. I'm a
Traveler, yeah.
traveler. I'm a traveler.
So like when did psychotherapy and therapy and the healing arts and healing like come into your consciousness and you were like, oh, I'm into this. Like how was that born?
I think I gone through another crisis when I was about 28, 29, and I found a really good therapist, and I started a proper process with her. And I remember after about 6 months, we gone through all these things, and I thought, yeah, I didn't have much direction. I wasn't sure why I was here. That kind of like existential search was on. And then suddenly I was sitting with her, she was sitting here, and I was like, I want to do what you're doing. And she said, well, you could do that. You could study here, because I was taking therapy in an institute in Ireland. This is back when I was 29, 28, something like that. And yeah, it was like exactly like I remember being in those therapies with her, and it was every Monday at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And I remember it was all through this winter where I was living alone. I just come out of this relationship, um, and I was going through a tough time. And I remember just thinking, as a kind of, I started in September, October, November, December, January, February. Like around March, it was getting brighter when I was leaving at 6 o'clock. And I remember one of the days just saying to her, I said, I'd love to do what you're doing. This is amazing. Like you're just with people and, helping. And she said you could do it here. So I started studying that March, or that February, I think. It's that February I started studying, did a foundation course, and I started studying. I started studying like it was kind of, I'd studied psychology in university. And I was always very interested in not just the therapy, but the healing part. I remember when we met, I was kind of in this, I think I'd read the Motorcycle Diaries, and I was reading other stories about sort of the mystical aspect. A lot of, what's that Colombian writer's name who wrote 100 Years of Solitude? Marquez.
Yeah.
So I was reading a lot of that stuff and learning how to speak Spanish and connecting with Latin people. And I was like, I've been here before. And then, of course, I went to Machu Picchu and I had this like explosion moment it was like the sun was rising and I was sitting in Machu Picchu and I was like, whoa, there's something more than just, the tangible, That's what I felt there. So I started investigating, and that's when I came back to Ireland. I went through this thing and I went to therapy, and I was like, actually, because I hadn't been working in it before. I hadn't been doing that before. I've been doing lots of different jobs. And so therapy brought me back to me and brought me back to like this, oh, I'm good at this. I can accompany people and I can use that sensitivity and that curiosity that I've always had to know things and to understand and to connect, all these different things. So yeah, I started doing that foundation course, started studying psychodynamic counseling, which is like a kind of a branch of psychoanalysis. And it was a little bit, for me, I was like, well, where's the part where it's like energy and I can see stuff and connect and work with that? So I was really interested in Jungian stuff and person-centered, which is more about that about the relationship. I thought, no, that's more my thing, And then when I met this woman from Mexico and we were talking about being together, getting married and stuff, she's like, oh, let's go to Mexico. And I went, yeah, let's go there, I was still quite impulsive at the time. So I sort of left everything and
at this time you were back in Ireland. Is that right?
Yeah.
So you traveled or whatever and experienced some really great things, and then you went back to Ireland, and that's where you met your former Mexican wife. So then she said, let's go back to Mexico.
And thanks to her, like she was very much into, I remember like one of the first times I met her, she said, do you know Alejandro Jodorowsky? And I said, no, who's that? And she started quoting it and everything. And I was like, who's this guy? So I started investigating him, and he has like another form of therapy that he invented called psychomagic. And I thought, what? So I was being pulled naturally into this kind of esoteric, transpersonal realm of therapies, as well as with all this kind of traditional stuff that I've been studying. And so I thought, well, why can't I do all of it, Why can't I just keep studying? When I go to Mexico, I'll keep studying. So I started studying in the Instituto Humanista de Psicoterapia Gestalt, which is a combination of humanistic therapy, which would be person-centered, Carl Jung, and others, with Gestalt, which is Fritz Perls and Laura Perls, this couple from Germany who created this therapy, which is about sort of integrating all the different parts of ourselves and working with the present moment and working with the emotional impact of what was going on between the therapist and the client or the patient. And I don't know, it just, when I get interested in something, I go full in. So I just started, like, while I was studying, I'd spend hours reading and hours watching videos and hours watching documentaries and hours learning from different people in Mexico as well. So I started learning about, different stuff, like using different shamanic tools, like, or what I understand understanding shamanic tools, like ceremony, like medicine, like singing, like drumming, meditation, and it, like the drum that you just showed there, like that was something that like I really embraced in the last few years, has been this the creative aspect and of giving. Um, and it's like that. What I love about the work that I'm doing, it's always this exchange of energy, and then I bring that out into my normal life, which is like then I was thinking, oh, Val needs a drum. I know. I'll get a drum in Mexico. I'll bring it up, and then I'll be traveling with Norberto, who's my spiritual guide, friend, brother, who works with medicines and does ceremonies, and he's up in California. And we decided to use your drum in several ceremonies, and then yeah, and then I don't know, you got the drum. What was that like for you?
I mean, just the fact that this drum had been traveling with you guys on all sorts of ceremonies and using it, and yeah, it's just, I mean, it's just a beautiful thing that it has all that energy and memory and everything inside of it. So
Yeah, and yeah, and I remember. I know I'm going all over the place, but I remember that moment of like we'd just had ceremony and we were coming back to earth a little bit, I think. And I remember Roberto saying, and now we have something special to do. And I had no idea what he was talking about. And then he gave me the drum, and it was very funny because I gave you the drum and you were like, do I play it? Do I pass it on? And I was like, no, I'm giving it to you. This is your drum.
I didn't get that.
And no, not at all.
I thought we had to pass it around the circle.
Yeah, no, it was like we were passing around something. No, it was that was a very beautiful moment for me. And I realized that coming back to, I don't know if there was a question, but let's pretend there was. Coming back to this process that I went through, those moments are like, they're sort of like reminders to me of my progress as a person in this life, you know, that I'm able to put that creative effort into just giving a gift, you know, and giving it with love and just like,
Mm.
I don't know. I that's the thing that gives me energy is that contact to have with people.
It
Um,
reminds me of, I was just, thinking about this yesterday, how it's like there's so much craziness going on in these times and all these different angles and just ideas about what's really going on and stuff. And it just brings me back to one of the things that I really extracted from you that you taught me was the power of intention and how
mm,
transformative that is and how it really brings us into a higher state of consciousness, because so often we're just like, oh, I'm just doing this, and we're coming from this like program or emotional space, and we're not doing it really consciously. So just
yeah,
since then, I feel like I've really practiced integrating that into my life, and it's like just that in itself, like, okay, what is my intention before I say these words or before I go to this place, before I
yeah,
start ceremony? What is my intention? And I just find that so powerful.
yeah, yeah. That's something that I learned as well along the way, and it came from that. It came from different ceremonies I was participating in, you know, with different shaman and stuff like that. And you know, at the beginning I was like, well, what's all this about? You know, sitting around in a circle and talking and playing drums. And at the beginning I was a bit like kind of feeling a bit out of sorts with that sort of dynamic or something. But then I remember one of the first times that I began singing during the thing, and somebody gave me a rattle. And this is before it started. And then at the beginning, you're always asked, like, what's your intention? And I always found that quite difficult. I was like, I don't know, to heal, to feel better, and working with different shaman and different medicine women. Um, I don't know, you can call them whatever they are. I just think they're just amazing beings, you know. And learning that power of intention, it's taught me to focus. You know, I'm very aware my intention here today is to respond to your words and try not to lose, focus and stuff like that. Because I could talk about this forever, but it's like when we have an intention, we have a purpose, it's harder to be distracted because you can just keep coming back to well, what's my intention? Stay focused. It's like, I see it like this. It's just a straight line.
Yeah.
And I start like, I come back. And it's interesting because I put a compass I put a Celtic compass on my arm. I can see it here. And that as well, like I didn't know when I was doing it. I did it a couple of years ago and I was like, what's that for? Why? Because I have this tendency to be so stimulated by everything that I have to come back. So I think that's something that has been so helpful. Each day I intention. Each day I've changed my routine to include, different meditations and different stretching things and different activities, just to kind of keep me like, oh, okay, today I'm going to do this. And then at the end of the day, I'd go, well, how did I do with that intention? And then it'd be like, and then there's that satisfaction. And I think we can apply it to everything. It's just, it kind of changed the game for me completely, because before I was sort of like, I don't know what I want. I'm just like free and whatever, but not getting anywhere. And that causes so much frustration. And when you talk about it, I'm thinking about your own, wow, since when was that? Maybe 2 months ago? Roughly about 2 months ago, we were sitting together in LA or in Big Bear. Since then to now, I've been watching you on Instagram. I'm watching all the stuff you're doing. I'm like, whoa, the intention you have of like keeping focused on what do I want to do, and that's me watching you. I see it in lots of different people, but I also see it more in myself, where I'm just like, whoa, I've reached this level of I'm living in a paradise, living in an absolute paradise. What I like is what intention gives as well is this power of manifestation, where you can go, I want this, and you're so focused on this thing that it can appear. And it's been happening for me a lot down here. I don't know, the energy is so, the world's energy is so sort of expansive and intense at the moment, and we'll keep going that way, I think. That for me, like, I arrived down here because of that. My intention was, well, I'm in Ireland at the moment. This is last year. I was in Ireland, and I thought, okay, I could stay in here. I could stay stuck indoors during the winter. I know where I'm going to go. I'm probably going to go into, what am I doing with my life? What am I doing? All this kind of stuff. And instead I went, no, I think it's time to look after yourself. And what's my intention? To be in peace. Okay, well, I'll live in a peaceful way. Okay, where can I do that? I want to see the sunset. And I remember arriving here about a month ago with Norberto after traveling for a couple of months all over the place. And we arrived to the beach at nighttime. And what's really amazing, this involves you, is that you had recorded the song, and I've been playing it the whole time. It's a beautiful song that you have to share it with everybody. And I remember I got down to the beach and I started singing the song, and Norberto joined in. And I said, Norberto, I think I've just arrived to my dream. I was singing the song about the estrellas, the stars, and the water, and waves, and I was watching all this with the beach, and I was standing with him, and he just said, well, maybe your time as a traveler has finished for now. So I just settled here, found myself a place to stay, and now I'm here with living in a Mexican village. It's amazing.
I love it. Yeah, I feel like what it offers us is like it simplifies our life, and it's that North Star, because I think so often it's like we can get lost in like conditions and the ego and like the identity and all the story and all those things. It's like, well, I should be doing this, or I look like this and I should be over here, and it's like, well, I don't know, there's something about intention that comes from the heart It just
Oh
even the
yeah,
word itself, it's like, what is my intention? It just brings me, it grounds me into a heart-centered space. And just even asking the question, it's calming.
yeah. There's something about it. It's like a yeah. It's like I don't know what it's like. We use a million metaphors to describe it, but it's just this. Yeah, I like what you said. A North Star. You know, it
Yeah.
reminds me. I wanna. Yeah, yeah. It's like that. It's like I'm not great at looking. I like here. Like another thing I had was I want to be able to look at the sunset, and then when it gets dark, look at the stars. So I do that every day. And I think that's our power that we have, is to create our reality. And the intention is what's allowed me to focus on what I need to do. Now, Roberto taught me about this the concept of flow, which I always thought, well, just go with the flow and just don't fight the river, man, and all this stuff, And he was like, I remember it was amazing, right? So last year, and you were part of it actually. He put on some meetings each week for about 3 months during, the moment of, oh my God, there's a thing and we don't know what to do. And everybody was, I mean, people still are, but it was the initial stage. It was the initial stage of, sorry, my friend Pepe is at the door waving in the window. I'm like, hi.
Hola, Pepe.
He's gone. He's gone. But it's Mexico. Here, everybody lives on top of each other. So it's like, yeah, come on in if you want. But anyway, what was I talking about?
Jealous.
Um, what was I saying?
Norby doing the online class.
Oh yeah. So he's doing the online class, and so he went through. He did about 30 meetings. So I was taking these classes at very strange times because it was all based in Mexico, and I was in Ireland 6 hours ahead, and so it was always late night. And I remember he talked about one time about this thing of flow, and I thought, oh yeah, just go with the flow, whatever. And he said, no, flow is doing what you need to do, no more, no less.
Mm,
Um, and it's like, okay, so I need to find an apartment. Like when I arrived here, I had nothing. I was sleeping on a mattress upstairs. So I had to do all these different steps, and the intentional part helped me to kind of stay with that. And then I began to understand the flow part. It's not a passive thing. It's an agreement that you make with yourself to do the best that you can, but not do too much. Just lo justo. I don't know how to say that in English, but like just enough. And
yeah.
I like that. It's just there's so many different things coming out of all this education I'm giving myself. Um,
Mhm.
and it's interesting how it then informs the work I do working with people, because I have noticed how my way of working has changed. I've gotten more into this. It is like channeling. I get into this like, and I get connected with the person, so I'm connected with you. So there's this sort of energy, sort of interchange or exchange, or it's exchange. I keep translating intercambio like interchange, it's not exchange. And so it's a Spanglish part of me. So like there's this interplay going on all the time. And then I kind of connect into it and I go, oh, what's that? And then I'm talking. And there's sometimes I'm talking and I'm like, what am I talking about? But it's making sense. There's like this sort of connecting with something else and connecting with the collective sort of knowledge bank. Um,
Yeah, I find that really interesting, this concept of channeling and how it is connected to flow. It's like you can use so many words to
yeah,
mean the essence of something, but yeah,
yeah.
I mean, definitely we're all capable of channeling because if you're really in the flow, in your, if you're grounded in your authentic truth and you are present and you are available and open, then
Hmm.
there's just something really magical that can happen.
Yeah,
Where you're not in this thing. You're not like, okay, now I say this and now I do this and that. And you're just like, and
Yeah.
it's like water.
Yeah. And it's joyous. I don't know about you, but I feel great joy because all this shite just, you know, and there's just this flow. And I don't know, a lot of the times I thought that I needed to understand with this,
Exactly.
but it's kind of here where I really understand because it's like this, that comprehension allows me to be with myself and go, oh, I love myself. And it's so overwhelming to reach that. But it's something that I enjoy trying to get towards, you know, that sort of, because when I feel connection with somebody else, I know that I'm in communion, in connection with myself. So everything I'm saying to you, I'm speaking with myself. And then I understand that concept of, oh yeah, everybody's a manifestation of my internal world, and I'm just projecting it, and here it is. It's like this magical creative game. Like I know that I got back, like we lost contact because of life and all sorts of stuff. And then we get back in contact and I realize, oh, we've gone through like a very similar parallel journey. And that's magical that we're getting back in contact. Then we find out that we have so much in common and then we start growing together and start meeting. And I mean, that's just this, it's overwhelming sometimes. And other times it's like, oh, it's so peaceful. But other times it's like, whoa, this is so, it's like, it's hard to understand. I can't understand here. I can only understand here. That's the point.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I feel like it's an exciting time to be alive because it feels like as a collective we're really starting to tap into um, the 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 essential importance of connection to self, and that's the basis of everything. That if you're
Yeah.
disconnected from yourself and you don't have a real like pure loving relationship with yourself, there's a missing link. Like that's like the most important thing. And I think people are really starting to like acknowledge that as a truth and as a knowing, not like, oh yeah, intellectually, yeah, I love myself, yeah, cool. It's like, we're starting to really go like, oh yeah, okay, and like feel that, like we feel it.
Well, yeah, because we're in a collective trauma at the moment. It's been going on for a year. A traumatic moment normally could be something like an accident or some abuse or some moment of violence, or we've been in this for like a year. I don't know. I don't pay attention much, but I think it's about a year. And we've had stages where it's like, oh, we can do stuff and stay indoors, and that's going to save us. And hey, let's all do stuff online. And hey, I did this yoga course and I'm doing meditation and it's like this competing and all these dance videos. Remember the dance videos of the families where they're all together? Look what we learned. That we're the great. And it was like, what is going on? I had no idea. I was going through this like, oh, what? I can't go out. I felt like, what is this? And I think it's so interesting because we are being invited to do the work
Yeah.
in simple terms. We're being
Yeah.
invited to do the work. Some people aren't, some people are, and there's a lot of people in the middle still struggling to figure out what the fuck is going on. Like there's just so much going on, and of course, if I haven't done the work, well, I project it outside, you know? So if I have this feeling like, oh my God, what's going to happen if like, I don't know, and all that anxiety,
Yeah.
and if I haven't done the work, I'm not going to feel my anxiety, recognize why I have it, understand it, and let it go. I'm going to project it out into the world. So there are billions of people doing that now. So the energy is like, it's like a boiling for a long time, and I'm kind of thinking about water boiling. Maybe there's no more water, and I don't know maybe it's going to go on fire. I don't know what's going to happen, but it feels like that. And I like I would say it's time to work. It's time to do the work because if we want to have something peaceful, we need to be in peace.
Mm.
If we want to have a world that that is just and is respectful, and there's understanding, and there's love, and there's connection, and there's growth, and there's expansion, and there's all these things that we can have, well then the more people who are doing this work, I think the better. But then I would say that because I'm working in it, and I also do the work myself. Um, that's how I'm seeing it. It's a very challenging time at the moment because, of course, me living on the beach, all that provokes in a lot of people is jealousy and envy and anger, and oh, poor you, you're on the beach, all this kind of stuff. And I'm just like, well, last year I wasn't. Last year I decided to leave. I could see they're going to close the borders again, so I want to get out of here and see what happens. So it's kind of like, I needed to do that. It's not like I'm not going, wow, look what I did. No, I needed to do it because I was, in August I had some moment where I wasn't at my happiest. And I said, right, so what I'm going to do is, my intention will be to make myself happy. So I'm going to do things that make myself happy. And that's the only way, I think, that we can help. If I'm happy, well then what am I putting out into the world, Not that happiness is a permanent state, but if I'm at least content and doing stuff and being active and sending out that energy, I think that's the way I can help. So I came back here really to continue learning about ancient stuff and doing therapy online, expanding the amount of people I can work with. And yeah, I mean, I'm feeling good now.
Man.
And
Yeah.
breathe.
Huh?
And breathe.
Yeah, and breathing. Yeah, I mean it's I don't know, life is just so crazy. It can be so complicated, especially when we don't feel happy. I think that's the challenging part is if I'm not happy, how do I be happy, and then we're stuck in this thing. But I guess my question is how what would be your words or thoughts or advice for people who are starting a journey of healing, or how do you start? How do you break in?
It's an interesting verb, how to break in. It goes, how to break in, how to. Well, yeah, I think that's it. Is go within. That's what I think helped me. I can only explain what helped me,
Which you
and
have to
I'm
have a
like,
curiosity for, I feel, right?
yeah, and also, yeah, it's also like,
I want it.
I was having this conversation today. I don't know where I got this information, but I was talking to some guy about this. He came up here, and I read runestones, so I was giving him a reading, and all the stuff was coming out about him being this like man of the earth, and he needed to tend to the earth, and I was like, yeah, because this is the moment with this time of year, it's where you sort of prepare the earth. And I don't know what, I'm not a farmer. I have no idea. I probably was in some other life, but I have this idea that you have to get rid of all the stuff that isn't useful, and then, prepare the actual soil for planting. But you have to get rid of that stuff before. And I was talking to him about this, and I was like, I think you need to be, because I feel like I'm crazy, And I was thinking about this tarot card, El Loco, and I was like, no, well, yeah, maybe that's the start, is that you feel crazy, and then you go. And I was thinking about it as like this very traditional male thing, but this applies to everybody. About like you're this loco, where it's like, oh, I don't know, and he was like this as well. He was with me, he was like crying. I just feel like I'm crying, and I said, yeah, but I think the next level is the warrior. And he's like, what do you mean the warrior? And I said, well, you have to be brave to go within, because you have to relive all these different moments that made you who you are. You need to go back into these emotions that are trapped in our bodies somewhere and take it out and go, holy shit, okay, and relive it or refeel it, or and then just like let it go, you know, and then keep doing it, 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 just cleaning the earth, cleaning, preparing the soil for different experiences, which would be like the seeds. So be like, no, I want to be a singer, or I want to be a therapist, or I want whatever, you know. And I had a similar thing where like 6 months of going to this institute every Monday at 5, with this wonderful woman. She's around my age. I can't remember her name. I think it was Adele. I can't remember. But yeah, I think we have to be to do that, and then to go within, you know. So for me, it's like that would be the first. Go within and do whatever it takes to do that. You know, whether it's therapy or whether it's art or whether it's music or whatever. I think doing some sort of creative activity, and then, you know, writing or talking with somebody, or I think all of that has to be normalized as part of our daily ritual, because now it's like wake up, eat, or maybe wake up, shower, eat, I don't know, whatever the thing is that you do. I think that we need to give ourselves, particularly now, give ourselves the opportunity to change it up, you know, change our lifestyle, change our way of doing things, change our routine, and give ourselves the time to go within and go, well, what the hell's, what's slowing me down? What's keeping me, what's holding me back? You know, what have I not looked at? What am I ignoring? You know, what type of people are in my life? What's that telling me about myself? And keep back to well, why am I saying that, or what's my response there? I mean, I'm very curious. I think that's natural in every human, is to be curious. Just because mental health has been this, you know, mental health used to be, you know, you go to an asylum and you're getting electrocuted and it's like horror movies, and, you know, we have that collective education that came from cinema and from horror stories about mental health before. I have it in my family. There's stories. I mean, it's so close. It's in my blood, you know. It's like so for me to take on this role, I'm like, yeah, this is like, I feel so encouraged and empowered. I know that like this contact with you, whenever this finishes, like I'll just be like feeling this glow and joy and go off into my day, and you too. And that's the thing about the contact that we can generate. It's not just, hi, how are you? I'm good. But it's like really connecting on a deeper level, you know?
Yeah.
It's a deeper level, and not allowing, you know, external sources to govern how we are. And also when you really do the work, not attaching to the emotion and becoming the emotion, but just like seeing it. And that took me a long time to understand, you know, before I
That's
was
the process.
let the emotion come and feel it and let it just watch. I had no idea what they were talking about.
Right.
So I was like, what are you talking about? I am the feeling, you know, and no, not at all. It's just a system telling us what we need. It's literally like, hey, I feel that. Well, I'll do that then. You know, there's a question that I often use in therapies to simplify it is, and I invite them to like, just try this out for a week and tell me about it next week, you know? And I say, look, how do I feel? What do I need? And just to have those questions in your head. Because it's so, as you said, it's like life is so complicated, and sometimes it's just, no, we do the complicating because we're not breaking it down. You know, it's like the power of the word. How do I describe my experience? How am I describing my day to day? How am I describing my partner, my work, my friends, my living condition? How I am? You know, there's people who go around the world saying, no, I'm just this. I'm stressed. I'm like, well, okay, I'm going to keep some distance because I don't want to be stressed, you know?
Right.
Or I don't know. I just find so much power in so many different what would you call them? Practices, like watching what I'm saying, who am I spending time with, what am I listening to, what am I reading, what am I eating, what am I drinking,
Like, yeah.
you
I
know,
mean, we are
who am I?
such permeable, sensitive beings, and so absolutely, it's just developing that practice of awareness, just being aware of everything that you were saying. Just grabbing this book.
Which book is that?
The one you referenced. Yeah, and so we kind of
Did I reference the book?
we must bring this to a close, but I did want to say a couple things, which are, yeah, I kind of wanted to just bring that back to shamanism, and that's why I feel it's so vital, because it's about, from with my experience, is that what it's taught me, it's reminded me that
Mm-hmm.
we are nature. We are the elements. They live within us, and we emulate them, and we commune with them, and we are in relationship to them and all living things. So if we can understand the elements and the poetry of the elements and how they move and how they breathe and how they interact, and how it's all about purification through the elements, and that's also what we're here to do. We are here to purify and to heal and to grow, right? Because what else is there? I mean, if we're not doing those things, then we're not living things, because that's what nature is here to teach us. And I just so appreciate people who are invested in perceiving the world through these through that through that space. I think it's really, um it just softens my experience of the world, and brings me into more peace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When I started to realize this thing about that, we are mirrors and all that, and then I expanded further into like, no, we're the same. I saw this quote somewhere. Instagram has all these amazing quotes. One of them was about, let me think what it was. The gist of it basically was is that we're all the same. We're all the same person living in different bodies. That's the gist of it.
I love
And I
that.
and I saw that and I went, oh, I love that. I love that. Like for example, my Instagram feed is just all these things, quotes, quotes, quotes. I send you millions of them, and it's just like, so that would be a way of nourishment, because there's other stuff that's just, it's
Mm.
not. So I like the fact that we can choose. We have that independence. We can turn off the news. We can turn off the noise. Um, we can give ourselves what we want. It's because I think about like whenever I'm in circle drumming or singing or um it gets a lot of attention, a lot of sort of, at least I feel like a kind of a lot of mistrust, all these different shamanic practices and stuff. It's ancient stuff, some people like our ancestors were doing all over the world. And when I started participating more and helping and guiding and working on the integration part and the preparation part and the diets and all this stuff, I realized that the more I was giving to myself, the more I was giving to the circle that we were going to be part of. And I could see that oneness, like we were just one circle. It wasn't just a bunch of people. It was like it was created to I don't know, be a symbol of that potential unity that's there. I just think that the more conscious we are of the need for that, the more at peace we'll be, the more in love we'll be with our own selves, which then project out into the world.
Hmm. Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
know. There's a lot of ideas around this, but I just like that oneness part. It's like because I came into unity with myself,
Mm.
and then it helped that. So I think it's like today's a good day to start,
Mm.
to
Yes.
go within and to do the work. So that's what I'd like to say.
Thank you. And if anybody wants to read a really amazing book, this is the one that Ian referenced. It's called Psychomagic by Alejandro Jodorowsky. And he grew up, yeah, he's like Eastern European descent, but he grew up in Chile.
In Chile. Mm-hmm.
And he's an artist and a mystic and a tarot reader and a freaking
His films are amazing.
his films, yeah, are amazing. And he's just like he's the embodiment of my soulmate. Just like
Yeah.
hilarious, and he's like a magician and a mime and a freak and a poet and all of the amazing things in one person.
In one person, and I think that's like having a maestro, a master, a teacher like that. There's just so many. We're I'm my own teacher. I go about my day going, oh, I need to look at that, and I start studying whatever. And then I meet other people, and I'm like, well, they're my teachers too. It's amazing. And one of the things I love about life is learning, because it's like that. It's that it keeps us expanding,
Yeah, right. And to not and to just to be humble and to let go of this thing of I know what I'm talking about. I know. It's like, well,
Yeah.
maybe I actually don't know anything. And I
Anything.
have the willingness and the grace to
Yeah.
to say it and to have an open mind and heart for new information, to not be so calcified in my beliefs. I feel like that's really my intention, especially since, like 2020 and moving forward. It's like one of my biggest intentions is to be consistent in things that I love and to also to not calcify, to not harden my ideas and beliefs, because then it allows me space to evolve. You know?
Yeah. Once we quiet that ego that's telling us, you're right, she's wrong, he's wrong, I'm
Yeah.
right, and you're like, I need to protect that. It's like, well, hold on. I have a quote somewhere. I don't know what it is. I'm gonna semi-quote it, but it's this great thing about let me think. When we recognize that we are nothing, that is wisdom. And when we recognize that we are everything, that is love. And we live in between those two ideas.
Whoa, that's beautiful.
Yeah. That flipped my mind a few months ago.
Can you send that to me?
I just breathe. Oh yeah, definitely. I think I already did. I definitely did. I'm sure I did. But I don't know, I just wanted to say that.
That's yeah, I love that. I love that so much. Thank you, Ian.
Thank you, Val. I love you.
I love you too. That was great. That was really inspiring. And yeah, love yourself, everyone. What's your last thought?
My last thought. It's not really a thought, it's a feeling I have. I just feel
That's
very
better.
warm and sort of kind of I've opened my chest. I know I'm leaning forward, but I feel very like open and it's something I've really worked on a lot for myself, is to receive. And I think when we do that, like literally that movement of opening our chests, there's power in that. There's power in visualizing things. There's power in shifting our body, changing our way of being. So many different things, Val. So stimulating, everything.
Mm. Thank you for being a bright light and for carrying forward and expanding that healing energy. It's contagious and it's inspiring. And hi, Mackenzie.
Hi, Mackenzie.
Okay, thanks, Ian.
Okay.
All right,
Talk soon.
we'll close it with a little.
We're gonna start singing in a second.